So in this video, I'm going to share my experience as an IUPAC Young Observer. So Young Observer, you have to see in the broader sense. So this is someone who's relatively early in their career stage. So at the time, I was a lecturer, which is equivalent to an assistant professor in the UK. So in my case, it was sponsored by the Royal Society of Chemistry, who selected a number of UK delegates to attend IUPAC's General Assembly. And in 2017, so this is already a while ago, this happened to be in Sao Paulo in Brazil. So the General Assembly is held every 2 years, and this is in conjunction with the World Chemistry Congress. So as a young observer, your main mission is to get involved with IUPAC activities. So you'll mainly be focused on the General Assembly, but I also had the opportunity to present some of my research later down the week. So why would it be of interest to attend? So I'm going to speak here from my personal experience. So I didn't know much about IUPAC, which is the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry at the time. So I knew they were involved in naming of the elements, and I also knew they had a couple of divisions covering all elements of chemistry, including polymer chemistry, which is what my research is focused on. So as an early career researcher, I was already quite interested in kind of giving back to the community. And that's why I was interested in interacting with the learning organizations. And particularly I was interested in such an organization that works on a global scale, whereas the majority of the organizations that you interact with are usually on a national scale. So for instance, the RSC is within the UK. Now, the other good thing about this is that it really expands your international network. So I was relatively new to the UK at the time, having done my PhD in Belgium. So it was a great opportunity to get exposed to scientists from all over the world. So it actually gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of these people face to face, whose papers I've been reading for a very long time. So how does that generally work as a young observer? So there's different countries, they have different methods, but what happened in my case, the Royal Society of Chemistry usually appoints you like a mentor, because the process can be a bit daunting to understand. So I was allocated a mentor, and I met her, and she kind of gave me like a brief introduction to how IUPAC works, what things would be good to get involved in, and kind of trying to navigate the schedule, because really there's a lot going on during the week and you can't be at two places at once. So what's really helped me is that there was like a speed networking session. So there you were exposed to the different parts of IUPAC. So they will cover kind of, as I mentioned, different divisions, so different parts of chemistry. So whether you're inorganic, organic, polymer related, but there's also different committees. For instance, on sustainability or education or other kind of topical issues. And then what's important, so once you had that speed networking session, so having a feel for what you're really interested in order to get the most out of it, the best is to kind of find where your home is. So in my case, my more natural home was within the Polymer Division. So very early on, I decided to kind of, even though I was interested in seeing how these other divisions work, to focus my efforts there. And the good thing about the Polymer Division, but this is not specifically this division, but the other ones as well, as soon as you come in as a young observer, it's a very welcoming environment. So you're kind of directly exposed to different projects. And what was interesting for me is that this is not just all about nomenclature and terminology, because I've got to admit, as an early career researcher, having long debates on definition, that was something that I found quite difficult. So now I'm much more comfortable with that, also because I feel like I have a better understanding of the field. I've been working in this for a longer time, so I have more awareness of the topics. So what I initially did is getting involved in projects where I felt I could have like a meaningful contribution. So for instance, I got involved in the Wikipedia project, which I really enjoyed because it had a very visible output. So for instance, here you can see an example of some of the boxes that were developed in this project, showing that within the Wikipedia page, we embedded all these IUPAC definitions. So if you were to Google it, which is still what a lot of students were doing at the time, and you could see spikes when people kind of were studying, they would actually find the correct definitions according to IUPAC. And you can kind of track how often people visit this page. So it was a very tangible output. So this is all when I started as a young observer, but how did it evolve from there? So it's good to understand that even though the majority of the work in general is done during this General Assembly, the most divisions would have other meetings as well to keep the project going, because the difficulty if you have such a large organization is to actually get work done. So in the Polymer Division, we have at least 2 meetings a year. So one would be either during the General Assembly or during what we call our macro meetings for polymer scientists. And then we have an online meeting early during the year to kind of catch up on projects. And you could also have project-related meetings throughout the year within the smaller groups. And that sometimes can be a bit easier in those smaller groups, easier for discussions. And especially since the pandemic, we really kind of embraced these kind of virtual meetings. And you can tell that actually we're getting much more done in these virtual meetings. Now, a project that I'm currently leading on together with Professor Michael Walter, and it's slowly coming towards an end, kind of originated during the pandemic. So we saw there was a lot of plastic waste originating from personal protective equipment. So imagine that you were seeing all these face masks lying around in the environment, and plastic waste had always been a hot topic, but suddenly that problem was exaggerated. So this was the first project that I was leading and that I could really stuck my teeth in. And we developed a set of educational tools and posters, and we're developing more material now, such as animations and videos, to really kind of increase the impact of the work. So I was an assistant professor or a lecturer at the time, as we call it in the UK, but definitely this scheme would also benefit PhD students and postdoctoral researchers. But make sure that you remain involved, because the most benefit actually comes afterwards rather than just attending once. So things that have benefited me and think what I've learned over the time. So I find it very satisfying that you can actually identify problems that are very important in your community, and you can come up with ideas on how you solve this. So there's very influential documents that are published, including definitions. It's also very important for the public image of chemistry. So personally, I find, for instance, it's very important to kind of spread awareness of plastic waste, to spread awareness of sustainability of polymers, because polymers can have quite a negative image. And it's also very important that this is a community of people. And this global scale is really important, because as a young observer, you can really benefit from interacting with these senior academics. You can find like-minded people. So for me, it's helped to kind of share best practice in terms of teaching activities and public engagement activities. And you can also connect with people and form new research collaborations. So chemistry is a central science and has a very important role to play in how we're tackling pressing global problems, including around sustainability. So I come in here from the academic side, but we're also actively looking for industrial people, because in the end we all need to work together to solve these global problems. So I would certainly recommend this scheme, and I hope to get more people involved in IUPACs and see people at the next meeting, which will be in 2027 in Montreal in Canada. Thanks for watching.